The Vanishing Father. The courthouse steps were slick with rain. Paper stuck to my palm, heavy with the weight of things already decided. Above me, gray stone blurred into the sky. Somewhere, a gavel had fallen. Somewhere, a door had slammed shut. Inside my pocket, my fingers curled into fists. Bipolar. That word had ripped through my life faster than any storm. The apartment shrank each day. The blinds stayed drawn. Dust curled into corners. I spoke aloud sometimes, just to hear something other than the hum of the refrigerator. Their toys stayed lined up along the baseboard, untouched. Nights lasted years inside my head, even if only weeks passed outside the window. Mornings hurt. There were no bruises, no reports, no arrest. Only fears, repeated enough times to sound like truth. It didn't matter what was real anymore. Fear had become the evidence. Doubt had become the verdict. The world moved on without me. I sat frozen at the kitchen table, staring into coffee gone cold. Somewhere inside the cluttered drawer, I found it, an old hospital letterhead, forgotten but waiting. My hand trembled as I turned it over. An idea took shape, terrible but clean. Stage 4, lung cancer, terminal. The lie would be easy to believe. I had smoked for years, enough that even I could almost feel it eating away inside me. I slid the forged letter into my jacket and drove through misted streets. She waited in a parking lot, arms folded, guarded. I kept my distance, holding the paper just close enough for her to see. Her face shifted. A flicker of something, guilt, fear, or mercy, cracked the mask she wore. We didn't speak much. I didn't plead. I just stood there, silently begging. Later, I sat hunched on the park bench, the late afternoon sun bruising the sky with color. My heart drummed loud enough to shake the trees. And then, footsteps, laughter slicing through the heavy air, two small bodies flying toward me. Arms tangled around my neck, warmth sank into my chest like sunlight. Daddy! Their voices still held all the trust in the world. It crushed me with its purity. We collapsed into the grass, all arms and legs, breathless and laughing. We played like no time had passed. Tag, hide and seek. Their giggles flew into the high, bright air. I pulled battered toys from the crumpled bag. They tore into the paper, faces lit up with joy so pure it hurt to look at. Their hands found mine easily. They didn't need an explanation. They didn't question how or why I was there. They just loved. The sky tilted toward gold. She stood at the edge of the field, calling them back with a tilt of her head. I tugged them too tightly. I let go too late. I love you more than anything, I whispered, pressing my forehead against their small shoulders. Always. They ran across the grass, sneakers flashing. The car door closed with a hollow thud. I stayed on the bench as the playground emptied, watching the sun sink behind the skeletal trees. Before I left, I stopped at a grim little internet cafe tucked between a pawn shop and a closed-down diner. The computer flickered under tired fluorescent lights as I wired the money, careful, anonymous. Enough for a fresh start. Enough for them to believe it was a life insurance payout. Enough to make my disappearance real. At midnight, I packed a single bag, left the forged letter on the table, its edge curling under the weight of the lie. I didn't leave out of guilt. I left because there was no space left for me in their world. Not anymore. Down at the docks, the salt air stung my lungs. Diesel fumes curled into the mist. A battered boat rocked against the pilings, tired and forgotten. I handed over cash. No questions, No names. The sky bled into gray as the shore disappeared behind me. The sea swallowed everything, the courthouse, the arguments, the endless accusations. Out there it was only wind and water. Out there I could finally disappear. I lived adrift for a time, floating between forgotten docks and empty marinas. But it didn't matter anymore. The boat became my world, the stars my roof. One night, under a low, heavy sky, I set up a feed, a grainy camera tucked away inside a quiet streetlight, watching a single grave, marked by a name only a few would visit. Weeks passed, and then, one evening, I saw them, 3 figures in the mist, standing together, heads bowed. The boy taller now, the girl clinging tighter to her mother's coat, flowers in their hands, silence falling soft between them. I pressed my hand to the screen, fingertips aching to cross the impossible distance. They were still living, still moving forward. I stayed in the shadows of the world, a ghost in my own story. Once, just once, I returned. I stood behind the camera pole, heart hammering against my ribs. The playground looked smaller now. The swings sagged lower. But they were there, running, shouting, laughing with friends, lives bigger than the loss I had left behind. I didn't step forward. I didn't call out. I stayed frozen, letting their laughter wash over me like the tide. The cold crept up through the boots I was wearing as the sun sank behind the trees. They didn't need me anymore. That was good. That was right. I turned away slowly, the world tilting gently around me. I carried their laughter in my chest as I walked into the dark. It was enough. It would always be enough.